we are, guys. Today we're ready to print, okay? So we've got our screen prepped and ready to go. It's taped, blocked out. We're all lined up on press. We're ready to print. First thing we need to do is we need to start over here by the cabinets, and we need to start getting the supplies and stuff that we're gonna need. We first need to grab our ink, and then we're gonna grab our tools, okay? So starting with the ink here, like we talked about before, we've got all of the major colors that you're gonna want, okay? So whatever color you decide for your design, you can grab that bucket out and we can use that, okay? So for today, my lesson, I'm going to use this colored blue, okay? So I'll grab this blue and we'll be ready to rock and roll, and this is gonna be the color that we're gonna use, okay? Next thing we need to do is we need to grab some tools, okay? So if we come over here and we take a look at the toolbox, the tool cabinet, what we need to do is we need to grab a squeegee, we need to grab an ink knife. This is going to help us get the ink out of the bucket and into the screen. And we also need to grab some newspaper. We're going to use the newspaper to help keep our space clean while we're printing, okay? All right, so now that I got all my stuff, we'll get it laid out on one of the desks, and we can take a look at it and we can talk a little bit more in depth. Okay, now that we have our tools and we're ready to go, what we need to do is we need to kind of look at the correct or proper squeegee that we're going to need for our design size-wise, okay? So there's quite a few different size squeegees in the cabinet, okay? From small ones to medium to the big ones, okay? So you need to find the right appropriate size squeegee for your job. How do we do that? Well, what we're basically gonna do is we're gonna find the right squeegee that is going to be able to cover our design or our image in one pass, okay? So you can see that this one here, the smallest one, doesn't cover the entire image in one pass. I'd have to come across here a couple times to cover that whole image. This one's not gonna be a good one. The medium ones, if we look here, we're still not going to cover the entire image in one pass. We'd have to do it in two passes. So this one, no good. The big one, okay? The big one here, if we hold it over, we are gonna cover our entire image in one pass, okay? So while it is a little bit bigger than we need, right? It is overhanging on the sides a couple inches. That's okay, all right? That's okay. It has to cover the image in one pass, okay? So this is going to be the squeegee that we're gonna use while we print. We need to load the screen with the ink now. So if you notice, the buckets are kind of dirty, okay? There's ink on the outsides, all over the lid, so I don't wanna touch that with my bare hands because then I'm gonna get ink on them. And then I'm gonna have to go wash my hands, and it's just gonna waste time, okay? And you wanna try and stay as clean as possible while you're working. If you get ink on your hands, you're then gonna get it on the squeegee, then you're gonna get it on your shirt that you're trying to print, could get on your clothes that you're wearing or in your hair. I've seen it all over the place. It gets everywhere. So try and be as clean as possible. So to get the lid off this bucket, again, we grabbed some newspaper. So this is where I like to use it. I like to take a sheet of paper here, and I'm going to put it over the lid and use that as a little buffer for me to take the lid off. And again, I'm holding it with the newspaper so I don't get my hands dirty, okay? So I'm gonna set this off to the side here on the table, okay? And now I can take my ink knife and I can get in the bucket and I can scoop some ink out to get it over to the screen, okay? You may have to stir the bucket a little bit, okay? So all I'm doing is kind of working the ink a little bit. If the ink sits, it does kind of, it doesn't quite separate like, you know, salad dressing or anything like that, but it is good if it hasn't been used in a while to kind of stir it up a little bit and get it kind of working and gel it back together. So I'm just gonna kind of give it a little stir. And again, I'm only using like the tip of the knife. I don't have the whole knife buried in the ink, okay? This bucket is a little low, so again, I'm only using the tip of the knife to kind of stir the ink. Okay, so for your job and the job that I'm printing right now, I'm only gonna print a couple shirts. So I don't need a ton of ink, all right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna pull out a glob, okay? And you can see here, I'm gonna twirl the ink around to grab all of the strings so it doesn't drip all over the place. And I'm gonna grab a little dollop of ink like this, okay? My philosophy is it's always easier to add the ink to the screen than it is to take it out, okay? It takes a lot longer to remove it from the screen than put it in. So put a little in. If you need a little more, add a little bit more, okay? So let's get this ink over in the screen. All right, so I'm at the screen now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply the ink to the screen at the bottom side of my image here, okay? So I don't want to put it across the top or on the side. I want to put it right down here at the bottom towards the back of the screen, okay? So all I'm going to do is take my ink and I'm going to spread it just like you would like frosting or peanut butter or something like that, right? On bread. So all I'm going to do is just spread the ink out and get it on the back side of my image here, okay? Don't put it on your image, put it off your image. Again, along the back side, spread it across the entire width of your image, okay? When you're done, you're gonna take your ink knife and we're gonna set it back on the lid of your bucket to keep it nice and clean. So our ink is loaded in the screen. We have the proper squeegee. We're ready to go. Our shirt is on press. It's all aligned. It's flat. We don't have any creases or folds on it. It's nice and flat. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually start applying the ink to the shirt. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to use the squeegee. The squeegee here has got a metal handle and a rubber squeegee end. The squeegee is what's going to either push or pull the ink through the open part of the screen onto your t-shirt. When we use the squeegee, you're going to hold the squeegee like this, okay? You can see how it's kind of ergonomically curved with my hand. That's how you're going to hold it, okay? You could hold it on the sides if you want to, okay? Or on the top, it doesn't really matter, okay? When we're actually using the squeegee, we're going to be using the back side of the blade here. So we're going to use this edge of the squeegee blade. The back edge here is all we're going to use. We're not going to use the flat of the squeegee blade. We're going to use the edge, okay? The edge is what's going to scrape off and give you a nice uniform coat of ink. So it'll scrape off all that extra ink and give you that nice coat, okay? When we do this, our squeegee needs to be at about a 45-degree angle to the screen mesh, okay? So our squeegee's at a 45-degree angle. If it's standing up straight, we're running on the flat part of the blade. That's not going to be good. It's not going to give us a nice even coat. If we're at that 45-degree angle, again, we'll be using the bottom edge of this blade, and that's what's going to be good for us to use to give us that nice coat, okay? Before we begin, we've got these little wooden bars on the press, okay? The wooden bars are going to help you hold your squeegee. So once you put your squeegee in your screen, it stays in the screen, okay? We don't take it in and then once it's got ink all over it, we just set it out on the table or something like that. It's got to stay in the screen, okay? We don't want to drip ink anywhere. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do to get the ink in the screen is what's called a flood pass, okay? And the flood is going to just introduce a lot of ink into the openings of the screen, okay? Right now there's no ink in there. So we need to kind of get the ink in there ready to be pushed through the mesh onto our shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my squeegee here and I'm going to grab some ink, and all I'm going to do is very lightly, I'm not pressing down very hard at all. All I'm going to do is just lightly pull the ink across my image. And you can see my image disappears, okay? It completely goes away. You can't see it anymore. I have a good, nice flood. I've got plenty of ink in that open spot, all right? Now, you can either push the ink through the screen or you can pull the ink through the screen. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same results, and I'm going to show you both methods. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the ink through. So once you flood and your squeegee is up close to you at the top of the screen, I'm going to bring it back down to the bottom here, and I'm going to start pulling that ink through the screen. to do the next pass, right? The flood was first, the hard pass is next. The hard pass, you have to push. You got to push down and you're going to feel that squeegee touch the table. When that squeegee touches and hits the table a little bit, you're going to hold the squeegee at that 45-degree angle, and all I'm going to do is pull. And I'm going to pull the squeegee back towards me, and I'm going to stop when I get just past my image. I don't want to pull it all the way into the frame down here, okay? All the way down here. I don't want to pull it down here. You're going to get ink all in that frame and all in the tape, and you're going to get it all over the place. I've even seen it, someone curled it up into themselves. We don't want to do that. So all I'm going to do is push down, 45-degree angle, and I'm going to pull it nice and smooth and come right through my image. So it's hard to see maybe on screen, but I can now see my image. I've scraped away all that extra ink, okay? And I'm ready to kind of do it again. We generally do 1 flood and 2 hards, okay? So I'm going to take my ink now and come back to the bottom of my screen, and I'm going to do the same thing. No flood, just another hard. Push down, 45-degree angle, and pull the squeegee through, okay? Now I'm going to put my squeegee back here at the bottom, okay? And I'm going to lift my screen up. Ready? Drum roll, please. And there's my image, okay? You can see I got a nice even coat. I don't have any heavy spots. I don't have any light spots. Looks really good, okay? At this point, this ink is all wet. If I were to touch it, I'm going to get ink on my hands. I can transfer it to things. So you want to be very careful at this point to get your t-shirt off of the press table and over to the heat tunnel. We got to put it in the heat tunnel. That's going to cure the ink. Once it runs through the heat tunnel, it'll be dry. You can fold it, wash it, wear it, whatever you want to do with it. The ink won't come off, okay? But right now, it's a very delicate time. If we pull this off and fold the shirt up on itself, you're going to get ink all over the shirt where you don't want it. You'll smear it, smudge it. It's going to be no good. You'll have to start all over again, okay? So I'm all printed. I'm ready to go over to the heat tunnel here. What we're going to do is we need to pull this shirt off very carefully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the shirt by the shoulders here, okay? By the shoulder seam, and I'm pinching with my thumb and my index finger here. I'm going to pinch this. Now, these shirts are stuck to the table a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to pick up and pull at the same time. So again, I'm going to pinch my shirt nice and tight. I'm going to slowly pull up. You're going to see the shirt coming off the table, and I'm going to pull out. Now, this shirt is loose. I need to make sure I keep track of this, and I can't let the shirt fold in on itself like that at all, okay? I want to hang on to this, and we're going to walk carefully over to the heat tunnel. So I'll pull this off, and we'll head on over. When we put the shirt on the belt now, what we need to do is we need to make sure we keep track of the sleeves, okay? We want to put this on the belt nice and flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shirt here, and I'm going to fold my sleeves back, all right? I'm going to fold my sleeves in. Once I have the sleeves folded in, you can see my shirt is nice and flat. I'm going to take my shirt and I'm going to carefully lay it on the belt. Okay? So I lay it nice and flat on the belt. I'm going to make sure I get everything nice and flat. If you have a hood or something like that on a sweatshirt, we really need to be careful with getting that hood nice and flat. Tuck all the sleeves in. Make sure everything stays on the belt. Okay? If anything overhangs outside of the tunnel or something like that, it's going to get caught. If it gets caught, the oven right now, or the heat tunnel, is at 1,000 degrees. So at 1,000 degrees, that t-shirt is going to get up to 325 degrees. And at 325 degrees, it cures that ink. That ink will then not come off your shirt. Okay, so it has to get to that temperature of 325 in order for that ink to cure and stay on the shirt for as long as it's going to, okay, for the life of that shirt. It does run through here in about 12 seconds, okay? So, yes, it's very hot, but it gets through there pretty quick, so it doesn't, it doesn't get too hot, it won't catch fire, anything like that. If something does get caught, it can and will catch on fire, okay? So we really need to make sure that we get the hoods, sleeves, everything all nice and tucked in, nice and flat as possible to the belt, so nothing can get stuck as it goes through, okay? Now, when your shirt goes through, you lay it on the belt, it goes all the way through the tunnel. It's gonna fall out into a box at the end of the tunnel. From there, you can leave it as you start cleaning up and getting stuff ready to go. Or you can take it out of the box and put it on the clean table, maybe the light tables or something like that over there, and leave it off to the side so it doesn't get all dirty as you're cleaning up your screen and getting finished up for the day, okay? So let's get back at it. I'm going to show you the other type of printing method here. So we're ready to do our next type of printing. So we pulled our ink the last time. We're going to push our ink this time, okay? So I got another shirt here, and I'm going to load it up on the table. So again, you take your shirt, you're going to wrap it around the table, okay? Wrap it around the table. We're going to get it back nice and straight, just like we had the last one. And again, we don't have to line up or register with the film anymore. We already have our screen locked into position. All we need to do is get our shirt back in the same place. So I've got my collar here all the way to the edge of the table. I know it's on nice and straight. I can use the finger method here to make sure that I'm nice and straight, okay? So I'm good. I'm going to press this out. Make sure that there's no wrinkles. Okay, now we're ready. I'm going to swing the screen back around, and I'm going to drop it down. Now, I've got plenty of ink in the screen. I don't need to load any more ink in here. Again, I'm just going to do a second shirt. I put enough in here in the very beginning. So, again, I'm going to do my flood, that very light pass, and flood the ink across my screen, okay? So you won't see it anymore. It's going to cover it all up. Now I'm going to do my hard pass. So again, the last time I grabbed from the back and I pulled towards me. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my squeegee here in front, and I'm going to push the ink towards the back. Again, it's going to work just like it did before when we pulled. I'm going to have my squeegee at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to push down nice and tight against the table, and here we go. Again, I stop when I get past my image. You can see it brings my image back open for me. I can see it now. I scraped off all that extra ink. I'm going to do that one more time. Bring the squeegee back to the top. And nice, hard, smooth push. And I've pushed my ink through. Again here, we'll pick it up. And I can move this out of the way. And now you can see my shirt is printed. Okay, again, I'll assess it before I pull the shirt off. Does it look good? Do I need to do a second hit? Do I need to bring the screen back down over the top and print again? If it's light, you can do that, okay? I'm looking really good here. I don't need any more ink. Everything is nice and full. Again, I'm going to take my shirt off just like I did before when I showed you. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to put it on the belt, and we're going to print one more just so you guys can see that. Here we go. Pick up and pull at the same time, and I'll head over to the tunnel. Again, laid that shirt on the belt nice and flat. We're ready to go. Nothing's going to get caught. And we'll let that run through the tunnel. It'll fall into the box at the backside, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, one more here. Load the shirt. Get it nice and straight where we need it to be. Collar to the edge. Press out all the wrinkles. We're going to do our flood first, and then our hard. Again, it doesn't matter whether you push or pull. It's whatever feels comfortable for you, okay? And there's our print, okay? There's our print. So, we're going to get this on the heat tunnel, and then we're going to start talking about the next step, which is cleaning. So we're all done printing now. We've got all of our shirts through the heat tunnel and ready to go. Now we got to get the ink out of the screen, back into the bucket, and start the cleanup process. So we'll be back in just a second.